So it also kind of gives you more social clout. Create events and experiences. Let people yap. What's your Instagram? Can I add you on Snap? And here's the text I'd send. In today's video, I'm not only going to teach you guys how to have social charisma, but how to become a community builder, how to bring people together, and how to enrich your social life. I feel like there's always this argument and this push and pull about quantity of friends versus quality of friends, but I personally think that God has created me to live an abundant life. And I think part of living an abundant life is not polarizing these two ideas of having quality friends and quantity friends, but realizing you can have both. An affirmation for today's video that I want you guys to keep in mind and honestly say out loud is, I create communities and experiences, and I build trust and intimacy. When you master these two things, you'll be able to build a broad network of amazing friends, but also build depth and intimacy in your relationships. A mental framework I like to apply when people talk about quality versus quantity in friendships is looking at the life of Jesus. Jesus had 12 disciples, but he had 3 really close friends. I aspire to have a larger friend group, but have my core close friends that really know me, like on a very close level. And when you build relational intelligence, you gain wisdom on who to let into your inner circle. Let me also explain why you should strive to be a community builder and what that really means. So being a community builder means that you create experiences and you connect people together. So I think if you're just looking to be good at making friends, the way you're building relationships could look like a linear graph. And I don't mean to quantify this or make this a super logical process, but think about it. If you don't connect your friends together, the way you make friends is going to be like an additive effect. It's going to be like 1 + 1 + 1. But if you introduce your friends to friends that will introduce you to friends that will introduce you to friends, then it becomes like an exponential equation. And I like to work smarter, not harder. I'll talk about the art of introductions later with an actual example. Also, I just want to clarify that the strategies and principles I'm talking about in this video are not meant to teach you how to manipulate people. It's not about creating a false impression. It's learning how to put your best foot forward, how to make a good impression that's a authentic representation of who you really are. Because although it sucks, oftentimes perception trumps reality. And it's really important for us to have emotional intelligence, relational intelligence to figure out how to best present ourselves. Because the way that you present yourself can either create opportunities for you or shut you off from opportunities you could have. Also, the goal is not to be popular, but it's to be socially fulfilled. And for some of you, being socially fulfilled means having a small circle, but look at it this way. I'd rather have a large quantity of friends that I can sift through to see who I want in my inner circle, rather than, let's say, only making 5 friends and just automatically choosing for them to be in my inner circle. This video is also specifically for people who are entering new environments or are consistently in a new environment. Although I wish I could give you advice on how to make friends in high school, where cliques are a huge barrier to making new friendships, I personally have not figured this out for myself. I'm so grateful for the friends I do have in high school, but I will say high school is a much harder environment to make new friends in. I think this video will be especially helpful to my class of 2028 that is going to enter college this fall. Let's first talk about the concept of building a world. So what does it mean to build a world? I think another term we could talk about when it comes to building your world is building a personal brand. And building a personal brand is not just about becoming a social media influencer. Your personal brand is the way that you carry yourself. When you meet new people, you're representing your personal brand. And when you build a world that's so interesting and other people want to be a part of it, it's much easier to attract friends. So let's talk about some aspects of world building. World building is not only defining, but walking in your core values, things you like to do, your current mission in life, and your greatest qualities. I think it's really important to figure out what you bring to the table in terms of how you make others feel, how your personality is. For instance, I strive to bring positive energy, encouragement, challenge, and also just fun to my friends. Like, I would even encourage you with your current friends, have conversations about, what do you think I bring to our friendship? What is something you really value about me? This will help you build some more confidence and understand what your true value is. And I think when you understand what your value is, it's so much easier to walk in confidence when you're meeting others. You know that people will be lucky to have you as their friend. And confidence is such a key when it comes to making friends and approaching people. And I will talk about how to approach people very soon. A practical way to build your world and to express your world is through your curation of your Instagram or any other social media platform. And again, this is not about creating a false image. It's making sure that the first impression we give to others is reflective of our authentic personality. And for a lot of us, Gen Z, social media is the first impression, especially if you're meeting people on like a college class of 2028 page. For instance, if you love to travel, is that reflected in your Instagram page? Do you have pictures of your travels? Do you have Instagram highlights of the favorite places that you've traveled to? Also, if you love to crochet, is that also evident on your Instagram page? When I think about my Instagram page, some of my passions are language learning. I have a video of me speaking Brazilian Portuguese on my Instagram. My faith is really important in my life. I also have an Instagram video talking about my faith. I have some highlights. I have a highlight of my filmmaking journey and my passion for creating content. I have one for my friends. Also, I think posting my friends on my social media is a big part of my world building because I love to socialize with others. I love to create community. So that's a big part of my personality. Now let's talk about how to approach others in public. My biggest mindset tip is to become an initiator. Becoming an initiator means that you are proactively approaching people, that you are proactively creating events. And let me just be clear, being an initiator does not mean that you chase people. It does not mean that you are desperate, because I used to worry, like, what if it's a problem if I'm always approaching people? But I would say a lot of people want to be approached, but they just don't have it in them currently. They're underdeveloped when it comes to being an initiator. So it's okay to make the first move, just make sure that you are not carrying for the rest of the relationship. Like, I personally think it's fine for girls to make the first move in a relationship, for instance, but I think for the rest of the relationship, it should be the guy pursuing. But in general, for friendships, I think it's totally fine to be the one to invite someone to something. Just make sure that in the actual long-term future of that friendship, it's not you constantly inviting people. For instance, you can invite someone twice in a row, right? But if you don't notice them reciprocating the same energy, I would just back up, let that person go. If they want to be in your life, they will make the effort to. But with all that being said, there's nothing wrong with being the person to make the first move. Some of my best friendships, I made the first move. So let me model an example conversation that I would have with someone on move-in day. Let's say I just see them in the hall of my residential hall. I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so awkward to actually model this. Girl, I love your hoodie. It is so cute. Where did you get it from? Oh, I got it from Essentials. I've been wanting to shop at Essentials. Also, are you also moving into McCarthy? Because I think I'm in the dorm right across from you. Yeah, I am. Wait, where are you from? I'm from Boston. What about you? Oh, I'm from Michigan. I've always wanted to visit Michigan. Have you visited Boston before? No, I haven't, but Boston sounds cool. Wait, literally come to Boston. I will show you around. Okay, I literally will take you up on that. Let me get your Instagram because I will DM you later and we should definitely get coffee. Let me give you my phone and then you can put in your username here. Okay, I just found myself on Instagram. I'll follow you back and I'll send you a DM and we shall get coffee. It was so nice meeting you. I'll see you soon. A modeling conversation was the most awkward thing I had to do, but let's break that conversation down. So I started with a compliment. I think that's a really easy way to approach someone, especially like with girls. If you like what someone is wearing, ask them where it's from. That will also give you some mental time to think about the next thing that you want to say. Also, I think girls love receiving compliments on what they're wearing, so I think that's a perfect way to just establish rapport. Also, ask people where they're from. Ask them a little bit about their background. And I feel like asking people where they're from is such a good conversation starter because if you visited that city before, you can kind of talk about your experience with that. If you haven't, you can ask them, what is Michigan like? Tell me about it. And that can start a new conversation. And lastly, I invited them to do something with me. And I created a way for us to follow up, right? It's like most of the time when I meet someone new, I vibe with them, I find a way that I can contact them later, whether that's through getting their number, whether that's getting their Instagram. And I honestly recommend getting people's Instagram first when you meet them because then you're actually able to look at their page, learn a little bit more about them. I also think it's a more casual way instead of getting someone's number. And also it gives that other person an opportunity to look at your page and to really see what type of world you're building, going back to world building. Honestly, I think this might even be better than inviting someone to coffee one-on-one is inviting them to an event with other people. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is how to create events and experiences. Let me give you a real case study and example. So I was talking to this girl on Instagram DM that's also going to my college, the University of Southern California, USC in LA, and we were talking about how we want to go hiking together when I go to LA. And I was also talking to another girl that lives in LA. So I was like, why don't we just all go hiking together? So we created a group chat with the three of us, and then I just started talking to other people in LA. So then I created this like mental idea around this event, right? I told all the new people I was talking about in LA, me and these other students were going on a hike. You should definitely join us. I gave them the date, I gave them the time, I already created a framework around it. So it's really easy to be like, yes, I'll come, right? Or no, I can't make it. I think one of the biggest mistakes or things that I personally would not do is don't make this huge group chat and ask, when's everyone free? What do you guys want to do? Because that creates way too much mental effort for people to coordinate on. It's also super hard to get everyone to have this like consensus. I would just set a date, create an event, and be confident with it. But I think that's a really good way to just honestly gain social clout too. It's like you've created an event that people are going to, and people want to go to this event because, let's say, even though they don't vibe with you, they want to meet other new people. And this also allows you to meet a ton of people at the same time. So going back to the hiking group chat, we ended up not going hiking, but we actually went thrifting and we went shopping, and it was super fun because I met a lot of people in that group. A lot of them I still talk to, and they also met each other. Two of the girls that came to the shopping, thrifting hangout actually ended up becoming roommates in college. So it's really cool how these events and community building can create great connections between other people that are not even yourself. Also, when you're creating an event and talking to other people about it, I'd be kind of careful about talking about how many people are going to come. For instance, you just need to have the confidence that a lot of people will come, because if you're like, hey, like, you should come to the hike, like, it's just gonna be me and this other person, but like, I'm trying to get more people to go. That's just not as attractive as saying, oh, me and a group of students, we're gonna go hiking. If you wanna come, you should come. Because you're already establishing that this is already a cool event. If they wanna come, they can come, right? You're not being like, I need you to be at this event for it to be cool. You're establishing, I've already created this cool experience and I just like you enough for you to be part of it. I don't know if this sounds weird, but that's what it comes down to, really. Let's talk about awkward silences in conversations. I think the first thing we just need to accept is that it will happen. When it comes to even just having conversations with people, practice makes perfect. And what's really helped me is going on a lot of coffee chats actually on LinkedIn. I've done a lot of networking when it comes to getting internships, also just trying to make friends in the content creation industry. So that's really helped me. And when I used to get on these networking calls, my face would turn like tomato beet red and I would be so nervous. Let me just tell you, after taking call after call, for a while I did sales calls. Doing sales calls was so nerve-wracking, but after doing it in repetition, practice genuinely makes better. I will not say perfect. I'm still learning how to interact with like a wide range of people, but I'd also accept that sometimes awkward silences are not your fault. I am someone who's not very shy, and sometimes I'll talk to people that are very shy, and something I want to get better at is matching their energy and allowing for there to be silences, because sometimes I'm like, hey girl, what's up? And the other person is much more low energy, and I just feel like I'm coming on too strong. So something I would just accept is like, make sure the awkward silences aren't on your part, but if the other person is just not responding well, I would just let the awkward silence sit there, because that will also make the other person think like, dang, I should like not make all these awkward silences. Because if you're constantly saving them, or whenever there's an awkward silence, you just like throw another question, you also don't give them the opportunity to step up, learn how to ask some questions. So I'm saying if the awkward silence is on the other person's part, like wait 2 to 3 seconds. And if they still don't say anything, you can step up. But I would give some other people some time to come up with a question they want to ask you. Let's talk about the depth of conversation that you're having. I would use extreme discernment on how deep you want the conversation to be. I am someone that loves deep conversations, but a weakness of mine is I just used to want to jump into deep conversations right away. But it's very important to develop rapport and emotional equity. So that can be through humor. That can just be through talking about things you like to do, talking about surface level things. I actually think a beautiful part of relationships is that we get to slowly get to know each other, and that process can be really fun. So definitely don't rush it. It's totally fine to just bond with someone on the surface level at first. There's no need to really delve into a deep conversation unless you feel like it's appropriate or it's just a good vibe. For instance, if I just met someone in a church small group, I would feel more comfortable having a deep conversation because we're discussing topics of faith in our personal lives. So definitely use discernment and make your choices based on the context you're in. The next tip I want to give you guys that I extracted from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I highly recommend that book. It was really good. It taught me to be others-centered. So what does it mean to really be others-centered, especially in conversations? It means to ask people good, open-ended questions. Also, when people give you answers, don't just relate them back to yourself. If someone says, oh, I really want to have 4 kids in the future, don't be like, I want to have 4 kids too. I mean, you could be like that, but if you say that, make sure you follow it up with a question like, what about having a big family captivates you? Why is that important to you? So you continue to ask some questions. I've had conversations where it's literally just me asking people questions and I haven't gotten questions back. Honestly, that is the other person's fault, not your own. But I just think it's beautiful to be very curious about others. And if other people are not curious about you or asking you questions back, it's more of their problem. But I would just have your perspective in the conversation be, I I don't need to tell them all these things about myself. I'm here to listen to them. And if they want to learn more about you, they'll ask you questions. Please do not interrupt people. Like, let people yap. Like, if someone is talking, what I like to do, sometimes if I agree with what they're saying or I'm resonating with what they're saying, I'll just like kind of nod. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah. But I try to be pretty silent and to just make eye contact and let people speak. Because when you let people feel heard, when people don't feel like they're in a rush or that you're in a rush to leave the conversation, people start to trust you more and they enjoy having a conversation with you. The next tip I wanted to talk about is following up with people. So this is why I always ask people, what's your Instagram? Can I add you on Snap? What's your text? It's because you want to have a plan for how you are going to interact next, how you are going to hang out next. One of my friends, we hung out and we talked about JoJo Siwa's new song. So when I saw a TikTok about JoJo Siwa, I sent it to my friend. So that's a way that I could follow up on the conversation we had when I was hanging out with them. Also, you can just send a simple text after hanging out with someone like, I love grabbing coffee with you. You're so insightful. You're so inspiring. I would definitely love to hang out again. I just think having that extra care and thought really goes a long way and it shows other people that you're very intentional with your relationships. This next tip is going to be a game changer. This is how you go from someone that can make friends like one-on-one really easily to someone who is a networker, to someone who is a community builder. And it's learning the art of introductions, how to introduce people to each other. Let me give you guys an example of how I do this. Hey, so what do you like to do for fun? I love to lift. I'm actually working on a new split right now. Wait, you love to lift? I have a friend that I lift with like really often. Do you want me to intro you to them? Like we can all lift together. Yeah, I'd be so down. What's their name? His name is Cameron. You know what? I'll put us in a text group chat. Could I just get your number? I'll send you my number over Instagram DM. And I'll ask Cam if he's down to connect. I'm sure he will be. Let's say I get permission from Cam that he wants to connect with my friend that also likes lifting. Here's how to introduce them. I would put them in a text group chat and here's the text I'd send. I'd be like, hey Cam, let's say my friend's name is Andrea. Andrea loves lifting too. She's working on a new lift. I was thinking we could all lift together tomorrow. Are you down? Also, you two have a lot in common. Feel free to text outside of this group chat. That's just a simple example of how I'd connect people together. And let me explain why making intros is really important. First, when your friends become friends, it also increases a positive perception about you because they appreciate their friendship and they realize that you were the one who brought them together. So it also kind of gives you more social clout, but that's not the only reason why you should do it. When you introduce your friend to someone, they'll also be more likely to introduce you to other people. And I don't want this to sound like tit for tat. This is not like bad-hearted networking. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no bad intention behind this. Also, it just makes making friends for other people easier. Angela and Cam don't have to approach each other at the gym now because I made the connection. Now let's just have some real talk. You can't retain all of your friends. This is why I think it's really important to introduce yourself to a lot of people because there's no guarantee that you're gonna vibe with everyone. That is completely normal. Also, not all of your friends will pursue you back. That's why I think it's important to cast a wide net. And if you can't meet someone in person yet, I'd really recommend call and FaceTime. I know it's really nerve-wracking for some people like FaceTime strangers, but let me just tell you, practice makes perfect. As someone that's gone on at least 100 Zoom calls with strangers, I would say practice really helps you. So no matter how awkward it is, I would just put yourself out there. And lastly, I kind of alluded to this, but building social charisma takes time. And this is something I'm still continually working on. I'm giving you guys tips that I've learned, but I'm still working on these things myself. And I think college is going to be a great opportunity for me to build social charisma, to keep on working on this. But let me just tell you, having even a little bit of social riz will help you a lot. I hope this video helped. If you guys have any tips yourself, definitely comment them in the comment section below so we can all help each other. And I'll see you guys in the next one.